Welcome to the Vision Gap Show. Align your big idea and vision with a plan of action to resonate and stand out in your market. With your hosts, Andy Halko and Tony Zayas.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Vision Gap Show. This week we're going to dive into content. So in the past we figured out our strategy, kind of locked in there. And now it's time to take that message out to the world. And so content's a big challenge in today's world. Andy, what are some of the, challenges you see just with the need to produce a lot of content, articles, social media, all kinds of stuff?
Yeah, I think, this is the interesting part of what we're trying to do is that you're really moving from that strategy into execution. And I know as Frictionless as a platform, we're really focused on the strategy, but the key is, how do you end up using that? And so content is a huge part of what every company does. Content marketing has become huge, whether it's for SEO, thought leadership, usage in sales experiences, whatever it might be. Content's become extremely important, both at volume, but also we always talk about quality, is that it's much better to have quality than it is volume. And I think that's the interesting crux that we move into with Frictionless.
Yeah. And so in particular, I would say you're probably referring to, in a big part, AI tools, AI writing, quality. What are the challenges there? So tell me a bit about that, just how, because I do think Frictionless is a very different model. There are some great AI writing tools out there, but they're very dependent on the user input driving. Not that Frictionless isn't, but I think the approach is very different, very unique, and it makes for very different outputs.
Yeah, I think that our methodology and the way that we've gone about this has really is really doing content significantly different than other AI tools that are out there. A lot of them are, you search a key phrase that you want in Google, and then it starts producing content from that. And there's just no foundation or basis to it. And I think there's two things that end up going wrong. One, the initial foundation for what it is not as strong. And then second, the process of actually creating the content is a little bit broken. And so that's where we have developed Frictionless in a way that I think solves the problem of using AI for rapid content development, but giving it foundation and structure that actually produces really, really great content.
Yeah, awesome. So let's dive in and take a look. I think something that we talked about, but a good starting point will be, as we pull the platform up, something that Frictionless does is constantly ideates. So it comes up with content suggestions and ideas, which is a challenge in and of itself of, hey, what do we write about? We need to publish 3 blogs this week, and it even helps with that. So I'll let you drive.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest things, right? Is that at the end of the day, we've all heard, especially if you're involved in SEO, that it's about quality, it's about providing value to the end user, and that you are, you win in the search engines when you're doing that, because there's a couple of reasons. One, quality content attracts the right folks. It brings them in, they share, you get inbound links. And then Google's AI or other search engines AI that they use to scan sites, they can determine whether content is, fluff or whether it's real value. And so I think the difference that we really tried to do is, obviously in our platform, we're starting out with personas. And so looking at what are the pains and challenges and needs and motivations of our target audience. We're starting out with our offerings that are in the system. And we've talked about that, of kind of organizing your offerings appropriately. And then what we've done is, behind the scenes, really kind of created a special methodology that goes into that data and starts producing article and content ideas. And so you can see here that I've got a persona of a marketing director in ed tech, and we're starting to see, article ideas that our system was able to produce, like decoding the ed tech audience, a strategic approach for marketing directors. The article would delve into the spectrum of ed tech audience, to transparency in marketing, to navigating the maze of diversity in ed tech marketing. These are all ideas that are just automatically generated based off of, again, a wide range of data that we've now built in the system. And so if we've got a number of personas here, that we've got the tech founder, they've got slightly different ones, like the right time to hire your first marketing professional. If we go down to a marketing director in legal tech, well, right now we don't have any yet, but it will train through. So we're constantly mining for new ideas, and then we can come in here and we can actually see all of our ideas together, and kind of say, okay, this is the content that we want to create today. Avoiding growth pains, operational strategies for scaling tech companies. So that's, geared towards that founder, right?
Yeah. And again, this is, I think the important piece that we're doing here is moving way beyond, much deeper than just prompting. Prompting is great. If you get good at it, you can get really great, output, but it is this contextual information that's being provided before we even start the process of writing an article, of producing a piece of content, that it's starting from this foundation of knowing the target persona, knowing the challenges, the pains that we've identified in that section here, under the personas. And now we're able to produce from that. So it's a really powerful building block. And I think that's a big piece to the.
Yeah. I mean, if you come back to what I started to say, that content needs to be valuable, and the more valuable that it is, the more you're going to get shares and inbound links. Well, that content is based off of the pains, challenges, and motivations of your target audience. If you're starting with that as your, kindling for this fire, that's what's going to get it started. Versus, I think folks that start from the key phrase perspective, you're not really getting that underlying value. You're just trying to target a key phrase, and then the content, ends up being very fluff on that key phrase. And then the search engines see that, right? They, it's not necessarily that you're really delivering value. And so I think, and I'll just add one more point too, is when someone gets to that article and actually reads it, and the purpose is to convince them that you're the best. If you were building your article based off of a persona, their pains and needs, versus building an article just off of a key phrase or one simple sentence, there is going to be a big difference in the confidence and engagement level that they have when they actually get to that piece of content and read it.
Yeah. And to the point of the AI produced content and that debate and conversation that's been going on in the SEO world, a big part of it that Google's made clear is the value that it's provided. So it's not just going to penalize AI writing for AI writing's sake. It's going to penalize it if it is that fluff. And when we start with a keyword, it may not even produce fluff. It just might miss the mark of that persona. So the person reading it, yeah, it's about that key phrase, but somebody else that might use it. So this is providing a lot more clarity, direction, and the necessary context to develop content that is highly valuable. And that is the goal, is producing content that Google will say, yes, users will value this. And I think we're doing a thorough job here in Frictionless to provide that.
Agreed. And then, let's move into the next piece, which is really writing. And so once the system has developed these ideas, you can now launch into actually writing it. And so, again, one of those things that we've done is really set up a multi-step process. And again, I think to your point, folks are going to go, well, I can go into any AI tool and I can have it write me a full article really easy and fast. Well, the other side to this is not only did we start with that good foundation, but we've taken a lot of time in really honing this approach to how it writes. And so obviously you can see here that it starts out understanding this is our persona that we're going after. This was one of the factors that it used that you created in why it developed that article. And then it's got the content idea that we've created. And what you can do is you generate a brief. This is one of our first steps that we take to ensure that we're producing really great content, is starting with a brief. And what it does is it gives you a compelling title. It starts out with that and make sure, okay, let's create something that's really interesting. Audience need. What are they trying to get out of the article? Our brief will start with that. And this was built with AI based off of our persona and all the other data that we have in the system. But it creates this audience need, a content summary. What do we really want in this? A unique position, which is how do we make this article different than other content that's out there? So we're automatically trying to help create that for our writers. And then we've got a voice that we've developed in our system for how we want to sound and write to be consistent. And so someone can create this brief here, come in here and make minor edits, but we're really setting up, this is one of those steps, and there's more to it as well that we'll see, but this is one of those steps that really ensures that we're producing great content, is that we start with that foundation, but then we start with a high level structure that is really intelligent.
Something I like about the frictionless content module is that it is step by step, whereas some other tools, you give it a prompt and it'll spit out 1,500 words or whatever. Makes it easy, but I'll just emphasize that this allows you, really what you're doing is scanning and just like confirming that everything looks good and adjusting if needed. Or if you want to edit further, you can, but most of what's happening here is just making sure that every step in the process, you're driving in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, looking at this of what it produced for our article that was about audiences, you have decoding the EdTech audience, good, compelling title. The need, they need to understand diverse audience segments. They are targeting to create effective marketing campaigns. The article focuses on, campaigns that resonate with these diverse audiences, understanding their characteristics in K through 12 through higher ed, identifying pain points and motivations of students, teachers, parents. I'm reading this because I think it just shows it took that persona and that idea, and it really gave it shape and depth now that we can move forward in that process. Now, I'm actually going to turn on automate online or outline and draft writing. So our next stage is outline and then draft, and we're going to kind of see this move through quickly. This is another one of those ways that we really try and help to speed up the process, but still follow our structured approach. And so I'm going to hit outline, and it's coming in here now. And the next step that really makes sure that we produce great content is creating an outline, a structure to the article that is organized, follows in a logical format, has detail to what each of those sections we want them to be. And so it really produces a solid outline. And so you can see that our AI just started moving through already, but it's given us this outline here that is very specific. Students, teachers, supporting the educators, parents, school administrators. So it's actually now this article that we wanted to be about audiences in EdTech is going through each of those audiences, policymakers, and then strategies for creating targeted marketing messages. And so the reason that this is really important is that one of the other things that we found in AI is that when you ask it to write a whole article all in one swoop, it tends not to produce really good, valuable content. And so our underlying process is we create the outline and then we write section by section, and we're leveraging, again, kind of underlying principles. So behind the scenes, it's using some of that persona data. It's using information about what our company does. It's, following some instructions and methodologies that we've trained it in for how it should write different sections and pieces of the article. And so now you come up with this first section, introduction, the importance of EdTech. And you can see one of the big things that we've really tried to do in our writing is create good hierarchy too. It's not always the same, but what we want to do is produce articles that have a level of comprehension and scannability to them, so that when people actually see them, that it's a little bit easier for them to move through it. And you can see these are still a little bit different, each one, and how they're structured, but generally they've got scannability. They use bullet points, subheads, these other things. Again, when you look at a lot of the other writers that are out there, they're just going to produce a big hunkin', article of wall of text that is not going to be easy to read. So this is another one of those things that really helps us produce super great content.
And then just a minor thing, but we do have the feature in here. If you want to rewrite, you just highlight the section that's needed, and that allows you to rewrite, if it's this opening paragraph, and give your instructions. So
yeah, I'll just for fun, let's say include a unicorn. And I know this is probably not what we want, right? But in here, you change this text, and the reality is, what you would do is say, hey, I want to beef up this piece, or I want to have it sound a little bit more, serious, or whatever it might be. But you can see that it came back, and this is just for fun, right? But just as a unicorn stands out in a herd of horses due to its unique characteristics, successful marketing in the realm of educational technology, or ed tech, requires recognition and understanding of the unique traits within its diverse audience. So you can even see, even when you give it kind of a silly thing, it still really does it well. And again, that's part of kind of our underlying process of producing really great content. And so even if you wanted to, say, make it more serious, or do something like I did, where you're almost giving it kind of this unique style or unique story, you can quickly do that and rewrite. And so the next stage, you can come in and kind of preview your article, copy it if you want to take it and put it into whatever system. We obviously a lot of times take this, copy it, and put it into a website. But in this preview, you can see a really nice structured article. It tells a nice story, moves through quickly. And again, we would not have gotten this if we didn't follow the process. We didn't start with those personas and their pains and challenges and our offerings of what we do, creating a great idea, building a brief, developing sections, and then writing each of those sections in a very trained and structured process to get to this point.
Something I like about the copy to clipboard is that it does include the markup. So it includes the head, H1s, H2s, things like that. So it's easy to, populate them in a CMS.
Agreed. And then one of the other things that we've added in, it's simple, but generating social posts. And so it'll actually come in here, take all of our content, again, our persona, and it'll develop, short and long options, unlock the secrets to effective EdTech marketing, hashtag EdTech marketing, to, this longer one that can go in either LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it might be. And then really just finally, creating an image. We always want to do that. And so I'm going to do, no, I won't do that. Let's do neon. So this will take your brand voice. It'll take your article, but you can also select some additional words if you want to really make the image unique. But it'll go out there, and it's using the information and the topic of the article, other things about our brand voice, and then now this kind of custom selected term, and it's going to create an image for us. And we can actually create multiple images if we want to, so that we have options to choose from. But now we've got this great article. We've developed some social media posts, and now we're able to create an image that we can either use in those posts or along in our website. And so I think it really helps you produce not only that really great content, but also the assets that you need to kind of continue to go through and do it right. That's neon, baby.
I don't think I wonder if you would have used that unicorn section if there would have been a unicorn included in here.
I know.
But I like the neon.
I didn't save it. So,
but education focus there, which is cool.
Education focused, left brain, right brain, audiences. You can kind of see some of those elements in there, probably other pieces of the article, and then that neon piece. But it's a nice way, again, to kind of have all of these different pieces here. But I know we've kind of almost hit on it too much, but I think the really important thing to note with using Frictionless is that this is not like any other AI writer, because we have taken the time to really think about the methodology, the process, the structure, the training of how we push through this process to produce highly, highly valuable content, not just content.
Yep, 100%. So really good stuff. We're going to next show, we're going to be diving into another area of, marketing execution, which is campaigns. I think you guys are going to be really excited to see that. Very cool. So thanks, Andy. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
This episode of the Vision Gap Show has been brought to you by Frictionless. Build high impact strategy at scale. Create your vision, brand position, and go-to market strategy, all in a collaborative AI-enabled workspace. Visit frictionlesshq.com to create your free account today.